Welcome to Life by Design, where we help you to create the blueprint for the life you've always wanted for yourself, your family, and for those of us with even bigger perspective, it's also much more about our communities and the nation Sierra Leone. I'm Joe Abbas Bangura, and this is your Life by Design. This is our second week of our innovation series, and in this episode we will bring you the videos of those young people who pitched in our innovation competition that we held over the last couple of weeks. And we'll also be having a demonstration of the Leone'S ventilator that was designed by young Sierra Leoneans. And we would also be having a UNDP Accelerator Lab segment and featuring our star innovator for the series. His story would be told again, Franklin Koroma. But first, we're going to bring you the stories of Otis Boykin, Leone'S G. Johnson, and Charles Drew. You may never have heard of them, but just enjoy their stories and the stories that follow that.
Otis Boykin. Otis Boykin's most notable contribution to science was likely the circuit improvements he made to pacemakers after losing his mother to heart failure, a contribution that has saved countless lives ever since. But this single improvement was among a long list of achievements of Otis Boykin. Boykin had 26 patents in his name, and he is famed for the development of IBM computers, burglar-proof cash register, chemical air filters, and an electronic resistor used in controlled missiles and other devices. Leone'S G. Johnson. Did you ever enjoy water gun fights as a kid? Well, meet Leone'S Johnson, the man that gave us the most famous water gun, the Super Soaker. Leone wasn't a toy maker, he was actually an aerospace engineer for NASA, with a resume boasting a stint with the US Air Force, work on the Galileo Jupiter probe and Mars Observer project, and more than 40 patents to his name. Yes, Leone'S G. Johnson is also working on the Johnson Thermoelectric Energy Converter, which converts heat directly into electricity. But it's the squirt gun he created that has given us all the most joy. Charles Drew. Every now and again, there are millions of people that need blood transfusion in hospitals across the world. Thanks to Charles Drew, that blood is available. Drew was a physician, a surgeon, and a medical researcher who worked with a team at Red Cross on groundbreaking discoveries around blood transfusions. During World War II, he played a major role in developing the first large-scale blood banks and blood plasma programs. Charles Drew also invented the blood mobiles. These are the refrigerated trucks that to this day safely transport stored blood to the location where they are needed most. Drew was one of the most prominent doctors working in his field and one of the only African Americans during a time when blood donation was still separated along lines of race.
This is Leone'S. It's a mechanical ventilator that is in a pressure-controlled mode. Using Leone'S to save lives, the very first thing you do is to decide on the source of air that you are supplying to the patient, whether oxygen or room air. But now that we don't have oxygen cylinder, we'll skip that part. But if oxygen cylinder or any oxygen source was available, we'll slot it through this inlet here. And of course, this is a filter that will be used to filter out the room air from any other impurity before it is mixed with the oxygen, from the clinical oxygen from the cylinder or the gas line. Now, the second thing is to connect Leone'S to a power source if available to the mains. Do not rely on the internal batteries. So if there is power source, you adapt Leone'S to the supply there. And then, now, you switch on the device. And whilst the device is booting its internal system, that will be the time you would connect the breathing circuit. The breathing circuit, actually, the machine is flexible in such a way that it uses all forms of breathing circuits. The breathing circuit we are using now does not require any control mechanism for the expiratory valve. If it required a control mechanism for the respiratory valve, then the control tubing from that mechanism there should have been slotted to this point of the device. But since this breathing circuit does not require that, we just adapt the breathing circuit directly to the outlet of Leone'S. And for any emergency, you straight off attach this ammo bag to the manual support system, and it is here as an emergency support system. And of course, you ensure that the pressure gauge here is actually towards the anti-clockwise maximum. Now that the ventilator is boot, the next thing you do is to decide on the breath rates. Here we have 1:1 inspiration and expiration ratio, that is 1 second inspiration and 1 second expiration. Next one is 1:2, that is 1 second inspiration and 2 seconds of expiration. And from there, of course, you can calculate the breath rate of the patient. Of course, if you have 1 second inspiration and 2 seconds of expiration, that is 3 seconds per cycle. So if you are having 60 seconds in 1 minute, that means you can achieve up to 20 breaths in 1 minute with this one. And then the third one there is actually 1:3. That is 1 second inspiration and 3 seconds expiration. This is the high pressure safety valve, which we would close for now. Now that we do not have any oxygen cylinder available, we switch the device to room air mode. And then, being sure that we've chosen the right parameters here, we ventilate. So during this time, when you have the attachment there, you can vary the pressure that will be delivered to the patient from this pressure regulator here. So you vary the pressure whilst reading the patient's pressure from the pressure gauge here. So let's say I vary now the pressure to some, say, 20 centimeter of water during inspiration. As I vary the pressure, you will see a consequential change in the displacement there of that balloon. So now that the parameters of inspiration is set already based on the pressure control mode, then we switch off ventilation mode. Now we detach this, the parameters are set. Then we either bring this breathing face mask or an endotracheal tube. The use of these face masks or an endotracheal tube will be determined by the criticality of the patient's condition. That is, if the patient is critically ill in such a way that his breathing pipe, like the airway, is closed as a result of some mucus secretion, then there will be a need for a prior insertion of an endotracheal tube. But if the patient's pharynx are not yet closed, then we can just use this simple breathing mask and attach it there. And now we are sure that whatever comes out of this is exactly the parameters we've set on the ventilator here. So we can now connect this one to the patient and then come back and ventilate. Now the patient is sure to survive. Okay, so we've seen that the machine functions very well on power supply. So what if now there is power cut? How would Leone'S adapt? there is power cut, there is power cut. So Leone'S still functions, even though there is power cut from the mains there, because the internal batteries are running the device for now as an emergency. Okay? Okay, the device functions automatically with or without power supply. But what if there is a technical failure and the person who knows about the device is not around, but you are there now? You still want to save the patient's life with Leone'S. There's a technical failure, let's assume switching off the ventilation mode there, implying a technical failure. You have the ammo bag there that is attached to the machine. Of course, you can still perform the same motion as the machine performs with your hand, assuming breathing for the patient. So the compression here goes with your own inspiration, and then the relaxation of the ammo bag goes with your own expiration. And whilst doing that, you can still read the pressure there of the patient from the pressure gauge on top of the device. So this is how Leone'S save lives. Thank you.
Fresh air, clean environment, great atmosphere. D&S Fastmart, we have the most competitive prices, the place for quality and trusted grocery brands, well-stocked shelves with top-of-the-range wine and spirits, chilled drinks and snacks, toiletries, and even lubricants for your vehicles. At D&S Fastmart, all payment systems are available. D&S Fastmart, the right choice for the enlightened shopper. D&S Fastmart, Total Petrol Station, Brookfield. We've got the tick.
The day I actually met Franklin, I was just visiting the village. By the way, I have a personal interest in physics. Even though I read business, my degree is business, but I still had personal interest in it. So I did, all my hobby is physics. So it was in me. I had my own solar plate I built a long time ago. So when I went to the village, I saw these young boys connecting, doing some connection. I was like, wow, I was inspired. So this is how I got closer to them. And then they themselves, they built a lot of, that interest in visiting me in the office. So, because my office is just closer to the village. So all the time, every now and then, they'll visit me. You see, they were very young back then. So I taught them very basic things, resistors, capacitors, how to get, they call it the EMF, electromagnetic force, how you can get it from the solar plate. So I taught them these things. So they were so inspired. And when they put the multimeter, they were able to get some current. So wow, So this is how they were inspired.
I want to tell people, say, SOS na mommy place. What I mean, you get your picking, however a day, when you get chance for Kerango SOS, then go bring her come up for you in a way where you will satisfy, and you picking go come up fine, and it will be somebody in future. Like me picking, I'm proud of him. And I'm proud of the school. Because they like today, if I can come near them, waiting it tell me and how it waiting it do, I'm proud of him.
Well, I've come to know Franklin and Emmanuel, his brother, for the past a little bit more than 11 years ago. I first met them 11 years ago at SOS. We used to attend the same school. They were a few years ahead of me. And I was introduced to them by a friend with whom I was carrying out scientific explorations. I could still remember we were building our first telescope. And he introduced me to these twins who apparently were science geeks. And the idea excited me a lot. So I said, okay, I want to know these guys. And I was introduced to Franklin and his brother, Emmanuel.
What was your first impression?
I was amazed because immediately I met them, I was able to build a connection with them that was different from every other connection I had. I was immediately able to identify their deep eagerness and curiosity and sense of adventure for science. And that was something I was looking for. It was something that actually fulfilled me. It was something I couldn't see with other friends. And our connection built from that point. So we immediately became connected to each other because even though I was younger than them, they were able to see the same eagerness within me.
I think it makes most sense in here when you take not only the poverty factors, but also some other underlying conditions which added to the poverty, triggering the effects that create negative impact on the lives of so many children. I met with Minister Tarawari last time, Manti, from Children's Affairs and Gender and Children's Affairs, and she's so concerned about the 20,000 children out there in the streets. And if SOS wants to be more relevant in Sierra Leone, because we are in Sierra Leone since 1974, we need to join the fight into making sure that, yes, with Franklin and many others whom we've been supporting over the years, we want to do more and scale it up to reach out to those children. Because, yes, it's good to do a lot that we do for the children in the villages, but there's so many more out there.
Since the inception of the lab in September last year, we made it a priority to understand the environment that we are to work in. We conducted a quick horizon scanning and undertook some sense-making exercise to know who are the local innovators out there and what they are working on. So as a result of that, we came up with simple questionnaires that we distributed. UNDP already have partnership with key stakeholders, so we use the existing channels to push out the questionnaires that innovators can register their projects that they're working on. So since December, that was ongoing. And this young man, Franklin, that we're talking about, had recorded some of the projects that he was working on then. And we had captured those ones. So early March, I got a phone call from a mutual friend that, Tuzlin, you need to take a look at what Franklin has built. And I was like, okay, I'll give him a call. Then eventually we spoke, and coincidentally, it was the day he had the public demonstration of the sensor-controlled hand washing. Yes, it was the very same day.
My name is Franklin. I'm an innovator in Sierra Leone. Since childhood, I've been heavily interested in science and technology, and I did my studies through engineering. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I decided to strengthen the hygiene culture of hand washing. So the existing hand washing station are pedal system and hand-driven system. Disabled people are unable to use these systems accurately, so I decided to create a sensor-based hand washing station that washes your hands and dispense soap and also dry your hand. Product is very friendly for everyone to use. People all around my community are interested in the product and they're using it. My hope is to see my products and my devices scattered all around the world at large, people to benefit from these devices and make the world a better place. In order for me to scale up my design, I will need more technical expertise, recruitment of more staffs, and also get the right materials so that my design could reach the market standards.
Now, during the preparedness phase, when the lab studied the trend of COVID-19, we noticed the impact it has on certain products that will be in high demand. So what we did in the lab was to launch out a social media campaign in the preparedness stage, contacting all the innovators that we have in our grassroots database. Yeah? We created a WhatsApp, launched out the challenge to them to say, okay, Sierra Leone hasn't registered a first case yet. We hope to God we don't, but in the event we do, we should come up with solutions by that time. We should be prepared. And we believe that innovators have a role to play, whether in general development, in crisis, in preparedness. They have a role to play, a strategic role. Normally I tell myself that now we have the frontline workers who are the healthcare, yeah, frontline staff, healthcare, yeah. In my opinion, the innovators are the second layer of defense. They should be coming up with equipment, materials, bring it up. Local content, yeah? And we supply our healthcare workers. When we launched that challenge, we came up with, there was a gentleman there with the pedal. He's the head of Phoenix, yeah? He has the pedal controlled hand washing station, yeah? So he won the prize for that, and UNDP, looking at his prototype, his design, it was unique, and therefore UNDP procured a huge amount of these wash stations from him. Now, at that point, we only had pedal washing station, pedal controlled washing station, yeah? And when I got the call and I saw Franklin's prototype, I was like, okay, we're entering into technology in a grand style. So the moment I saw it, I was like, perfect, this is it. I am happy because we could now record the journey. Initially, we had this bucket, the hand control. We moved to pedal. Now we are moving into sensor control. And I was amazed. Local content based all through.
Welcome back. It's always a ride of varieties, of inspiration, of people really pushing things in your head in terms of getting you to believe in what is not possible, not just in what happened in America, but what is happening here, even here at home in Sierra Leone. Innovation is the bedrock for civilization, and Life by Design is well known for our pioneering role that we've played in providing a platform for young innovators in Sierra Leone. We would also like to encourage you to embrace these young people, support them, so that Sierra Leone as a nation, we can leapfrog in development. Well, if you missed any part of this show or want to share the story with someone, please do not hesitate. You could go to our YouTube channel, Life by Design SLTV. There are lots of inspiring stories there. You could also visit our Facebook page. Don't forget, when you get to our Facebook page, lots of stories are there. Like it also when you get there, and subscribe to our YouTube channel whilst you are there. You can also follow us on Afri Radio every Sunday at 7 p.m. for a Moments with Joe show. As we bring you inspiring stories of young people trekking their way to success. Talking about trekking their way to success, I want to read you some excerpts from the show we did quite recently, and we featured Regina, and this is what her introduction of what she's achieved red like. I don't have a bachelor's degree, not yet, but with God and guidance from family members and mentors, I have been able to launch and manage 3 businesses, gain experiences from 4 jobs, and nurtured 2 side hustles, all before the age of 21. Now, to hear more of the story, you have to go on Facebook, because on the show on Sunday, we carry it live on radio, on Afri Radio 105.3, on all the frequencies all over the country, but also we're live on Facebook. So it's actually there on Facebook. You can watch the story. It's so intriguing and it's so inspiring. Well, as we round up the show, we want to remind you COVID-19 is still here, very much around, alive and well. So please stay safe. Stay home. Stay safe, stay relevant, for you to stay valuable. God bless.